Well, I think first and foremost, it's exciting to get back home and playing a DKR night game. We love that opportunity to, you only get so many of them throughout the year. And so we get an opportunity to get back home and play at night. I think will create a lot of energy in the stadium, a lot of excitement. I know our players are excited for that. I think they've really worked this week to try to get right so that they can put on a performance that makes everybody proud. Clearly we didn't play the brand of football that we're capable of or that is acceptable last week. And so now the opportunity in front of us here Saturday night to do it at home in front of our crowd is one that we're welcoming and excited about and looking forward to.
Go ahead and put up your raised hand function, guys, and we'll roll through some questions. Danny, start us off.
Steve, do you have an update on any of the injuries we talked about on Monday? And do you have a starting quarterback to announce yet?
Yeah, I'm going to go backwards on you here, Danny. It's easier. No, we're going to decide on the quarterback tomorrow. Both Casey and Hudson have worked this week and have performed well. Ultimately tomorrow we'll decide. We got to watch the tape from this morning's practice and then ultimately make a decision. But what I do know is both guys will play in this game. So whichever one starts, the other one's going to play in the game, and we'll go from there. From an injury standpoint, obviously we had quite a few coming out of the ball game at Iowa State. I think the majority of these guys really will be game time decisions, whether that's Bijan, Roshan, DeMarvion, those three guys will be all game time. I feel good about where Alfred's at, that he'll be ready to go. I'm not sure if I'm leaving anyone else out on that list that I mentioned Monday, but that's kind of where we're at. We still got over 48 hours to get ready for the ball game. So, we'll see what they can do.
Brian, go ahead.
Steve, what did you make of the Bo Davis video? And what do you think of the person who recorded that and let it out?
I think one thing that jumped out to me when I first saw the video was, one, you could hear the passion in Bo's voice. And, we really believe in the staff that we hired and what we came here to do. And I think you could feel the passion and the want to get it done. And I think that Bo exemplifies that like a lot of our coaches do. And when you have people like that on your team, and as leaders, ultimately, that permeates and that spreads throughout your staff and your roster and your entire building. So that part was encouraging to me, that we have men on our staff that stand for what we believe in. Clearly, we're here to build a culture that we want. And that's not to say the previous culture wasn't good or was good. It's just the culture that we're looking for, and to stand our ground and what's acceptable and what's not. I think that was a real positive. Like anything, when you're in the midst of creating your culture, you're going to have people that buy into what you want to do. And we have plenty of young men on our team that are buying in and have continued to buy in, and that are doing it the way that we want it done. And clearly we have some that don't. It's unfortunate that a young man decided to do that. Young people, like all of us, make mistakes. That was a mistake that we'll handle internally. But it's unfortunate because the narrative came out that that's how our entire team feels. And our entire team would do that. And that's clearly not the case. We've got a lot of great players on our team that are committed to the cause, that want to be special here at the University of Texas. And that's really where our focus is on those guys. And like I've said before, what we're doing here is not for everybody, and there's going to be people that doesn't work for them. And we wish them the best of luck if that's what they decide to do. But ultimately, the people that we have in our locker room are going to be ones that are committed to the cause that we're on, whether that's the culture, the discipline, the commitment that's needed to be special.
Ed, you're up.
Coach, has the player who released the video been disciplined? And on the wide receiver position, can you give me a couple of names who have emerged this week, possibly as getting into the mix with Xavier in the wide receiver position?
Yeah, we're going to handle the discipline of that internally. The wide receiver position is obviously we're a little bit thin of where we thought we were going to be coming out of spring practice with we had a lot of players at the position, and I think we've lost 7 guys at the wide receiver position from spring ball until now. So clearly there's opportunity for young men to step up. I'm excited for Calvante Dixon to get his opportunities. I think Marcus Washington has already started to seize that opportunity. I think Alvante Woodard is another guy where he could get some opportunity in this game. But I think that's also part of the key is you got to be multiple enough offensively to where you're not limited just to be a 3 wide out team, that you can use multiple tight ends. It can use multiple running backs on the field at the same time. So this game is going to tax us that way, in a good way though, because it's going to create opportunities not only for the players at the wide receiver position, but I think for players at multiple position groups.
Dennis, go ahead.
Coach, team buy-in, this isn't something that's new, with a coaching staff turnover. What have you learned from your previous stops, even as an assistant, that help you, that equip you to deal with this sort of thing?
Well, I think, inevitably, I mentioned this a week ago, like there's never been a great triumph without struggle. I think ultimately, we're in the midst of a tough 4-game stretch. Clearly it's been difficult on us as coaches. It's been difficult on the team, not only taxing physically, but taxing mentally. And we're in the midst of the struggle. And, I think that to have growth, sometimes you got to have a little bit of conflict too. And we've had some conflict this week, which again, I don't think is a bad thing. I think it's people exuding the want to. And when there's that want to that's there, that's when people can start to gravitate towards that positive energy to go want to do something like others want to do. And that's really where my focus goes to. Like I said, I think we've got a locker room full of guys that are committed and want to do it right. Nobody feels worse about kind of the skid that we've been on than they do. But we still are 18, 19, 20-year-old young men that need guidance on how to do it. And that's our job as coaches to make that happen.
Cole, you're up.
Steve, you're trying to build a culture in Austin as a first-year head coach with the team, but Lance is also doing the same thing up in Lawrence with Kansas. So despite them being a 1-win team, have you noticed a change in their style of consistency and how the players are reacting to him? And just overall, what are your thoughts on what Lance has done to get to this level?
Well, I think, they're in a little bit of a similar boat as us, probably a worse one in that, the scholarship number thing, when you take over a program and prior to you taking the job, you have players, leaving the program, whether it's for the NFL draft, whether it's transferring to other schools, and you don't really have a mechanism to get your scholarship number back to 85 because we're limited to 25 initial scholarships for the year. And I know that's been something that's been ongoing at Kansas, not just since Lance has been there, but previously. So I think that's the first part of the challenge, because you want to push your players. You want to develop the mental and physical toughness needed to make that happen. But when you have limited scholarship numbers, that's when it can become taxing. So I think Lance has done a heck of a job. You can see the quality of play in their team get better over time. You see moments when they're playing really good football. Most notably, turn on the Oklahoma game where they really played good football and they had a 10-0 lead and had an opportunity in the fourth quarter to win the game. And kind of a couple freak plays didn't give them that chance to do it. But, you see the development in it and you see the commitment in it. Lance is a heck of a coach. He's done it at multiple places. And I'm sure over time, he's going to get Kansas back to where he wants them to be.
Anwar, you're up.
Coach, when you inherit a program that's obviously full of guys that you didn't recruit, you didn't sit in their family's living room or anything like that, it kind of puts you a little bit at a disadvantage. Is resistance sometimes normal when you inherit a program? I know you did one at USC and obviously Washington, and you talked about the buy-in here. What do you feel like the buy-in level is with the guys? Because you feel like maybe there's kind of not getting a best rap of that. You feel like there's more buy-in than there is. So I'm just kind of curious on those two things.
Yeah, I think one thing we tried to do when we first got on board was really try to develop the relationships with the players. When you didn't sit in their home, when you didn't have 8, 10, 18 months to recruit a young man, and then you just show up, we've got to get to know them, and we've got to get to know them on a lot of levels and not pass judgment early on. I said when I first took the job that it was going to be a clean slate for everybody in their program, and nobody would be judged on anything that occurred, good, bad, or indifferent prior to us arriving. And then with that, you have to allow people time to develop and to earn trust, whether it's, trust from their coaches or us trusting them. And that process takes time, because you don't want to make the snap decisions early on, and make decisions and make moves that ultimately maybe you didn't give the kid the best chance. I really think we kind of get buy-in every day. I think as the process has been underway from winter conditioning through spring practice, through summer workouts, through training camp, through the season, even through some of these tough ball games we've lost, I think that we're seeing more and more buy-in. And I would say the majority of our football team is bought into what we're doing. It's like anything. If you've got 115 young men in our locker room, to think I've got all 115 bought in, that wouldn't be a realistic approach. But I'm not here just to give up on young men either. How can I tap into them? How can I get them to buy into even more so than what they do? And then ultimately, if they don't, then maybe this isn't the place for them. And that's okay, like I've said, because, we've got a belief in what we do and how we're going to go about our business. And it's pretty clear. And it over time, it starts to really shake out the guys that are bought in and the guys that are not. But I would say the majority of our team is really bought in and wants to do something special here.
Cedric, go ahead.
Hey, Steve, what part of you wishes that had been a player on that video showing the kind of passion Coach Davis showed instead of a coach?
Next time, that's what I'd want. But again, we're here to guide, we're here to lead, as grown men, how to guide and lead the young men that are in our locker room. And sometimes they need living examples of what that looks like and how to do it. So next time, hopefully we don't have a next time that a video gets leaked. But if it did, I would love for a player to be able to step up and to do that. And I think we have a lot of guys more than capable to do that, but maybe they need some living examples of how to do it.
Chip, go ahead.
Steve, how much of the evaluation going on at quarterback and both of the guys playing Saturday night is about Casey's thumb, and how much of it is just trying to determine what's best for your team at quarterback going forward?
Yeah, I think both of them are, I want to make sure that Casey is fit enough to perform to the level that I've seen him perform at. And so that's a decision that we'll have to make, one. Two, I can't lose sight of the team, that ultimately this is a team sport. It's the ultimate team sport. And I know we like to make it about a lot of it about the quarterback, which clearly it's, in my opinion, it's the most important position in sports. But to be fair to those two guys, we monitor a lot of it, and it's not just the throws. It's the understanding of the game plan. It's the body language, maybe when things are good, maybe when things aren't so good, that ultimately, feeds to the team. But I like I said, I think both guys will play Saturday. To be fair to them, when exactly how that happens, this is what I have to figure out today and tomorrow, and be clear with both Casey and Hudson of what the plan is going into the game, because I don't want to leave them hanging, in essence, of wondering, what's the plan for the ball game. So I want to be clear and concise with them on that, so that they can go and perform confidently to do their job really well. And I have a lot of belief in both of them, especially when they perform to their capabilities. And that's my job, obviously, as the head coach, as the play caller, to make sure that I'm putting them in the best position to have success.
Bob, you're up.
Sark, earlier this week, multiple guys mentioned Mo Blackwell as a guy that was really coming on strong. As you try to find some of those younger players, how much of an opportunity is there in these final 3 games to get reps? Obviously, you have to earn it, but to get reps for guys that are younger as opposed to, just playing seniors or playing juniors that are in that spot?
I think to your point, I think all of our younger players have to earn that opportunity. This is, our goal is to go win these final 3 football games, and we're doing everything in our power to make that happen. So nobody's going to get an opportunity just to see what they can do. They're going to earn it. I think Mo Blackwell is a classic example of a guy who has earned those, some of those opportunities that are coming his way. I think Jonathan Brooks is a potential another guy that he's earned opportunities that I'd like to see what he looks like, when he carries the ball. And there's other guys clearly that have kind of elevated themselves. But at the end of the day, let's not lose sight that our goal is to go win Saturday night. And then our goal is to try to go win every football game on our schedule here the remainder of the season.
Roger, go ahead.
Yeah, Sark, along those lines, I mean, we always talk about the guys that aren't playing, and you have to worry about the guys that are. All these guys came to Texas thinking they were going to be the guy, and now it's their opportunity. I mean, do you see a little more juice out of them in practice, knowing they may get their chance and anxious to see what they can do?
Well, yes, I do. I'll say this, man. Because I've been that guy before. When you're a freshman and you're not playing, and you just went from being the star at your high school or in your district or whatever that is, and you get to college and you move away from home and you're not that guy right now. But you're continuing to try to work and develop yourself, whether it's in the weight room, whether it's on the football field. Clearly there's a shift from an academic standpoint, when you get to the University of Texas. So all those things, we try to be mindful of with our young players to understand that, it's a lot on their plate and they still want to get on the field and play and perform. And ultimately we want to make sure that when they do, they're prepared for the moment. But I do see guys that are hungry and chomping at the bit for their opportunity. A guy we've seen natural progression in this year has been Byron Murphy. You're starting to see his growth and development. I know I don't talk about these 3 guys a lot, but they may have improved as much or more than anybody has been, Gunnar Helm, JT Sanders, and Juan Davis. Those 3 young tight ends are going to have very bright futures here. So as much as what you guys get to see on the field on game day, we get to see a lot of the maturation process for a lot of our younger players every day in practice. So we've got some players on our team with very bright futures that I'm looking forward to. If they get opportunities here in the last 3 games, that's great because they earned it. But if not, that doesn't mean that they're not going to be good players. They're just in year 1 of their development of a college football player.
Got time for 2 last ones. Danny, go ahead.
Steve, if Bijan and Roshan are no's on Saturday, what does the backfield look like? Is it just Keelan and Jonathan, or do Danny and Gabe factor into the mix too?
Yeah, I think Gabe would probably be the next guy up in that instance. He's done a nice job, has kind of earned that opportunity. So it's a little bit of a fluid situation that we'll have to have a plan for by kickoff, obviously, and then we'll have to have a plan for in game if anything, any adjustments need to be made in game.
Last one, Brian, go ahead.
Steve, just to go back to the beginning. I mean, I know you said you want to handle this internally, but are you concerned about having this person still on the team and what people in the locker room would think of that?
Well, I meet with our leadership committee, and we have, those guys express their feelings on the situation. And that's why you have that group of young men to make sure that we're all on the same page with what we're doing. And, the idea is that, what we decide to do, that they understand it, that they're part of the process and that they're part of the decision. And then you have the ability to move forward.